All right, everybody. It's another episode here of Sports in the Saddle. Today I'm joined by Mr. Bill Jones, a Dallas native, been covering Dallas area sports for about 30 years now. Rangers, Cowboys, Stars, Mavs, been with CBS 11 here for about 20 or so years. Covering, mainly, I guess not mainly Cowboys, but heavily on the Cowboys, and all Dallas sports. He's got great knowledge of the Dallas area, a little more than me. So it'd be nice to have his little expertise here and talk about kind of recap on the Cowboys this past season, kind of just a reflection on the year, kind of upcoming, you know, free agency, DC search, kind of what's going on right now. Yeah, we'll just kind of dive in. So,
Hey, Cole, I only have more knowledge than you, greater knowledge than you about the Cowboys because I'm much older than you.
well,
That's the only
yeah, I'd hope.
reason.
You still know more than me current. Say I watch on I haven't got to experience any good with the Cowboys yet, really. So you've got you've got that on me at least.
Well, and one of the things is that at CBS 11, we have a partnership with the Cowboys where I host, well, they call the show Cowboys Huddle now,
Mhm.
but it's a weekly show with Brian Schottenheimer.
Mhm.
And then prior to that, the Mike McCarthy show,
Mhm.
Jason Garrett show. And so it's been nice that being able to sit down with the head coach every week during the season and
Yeah.
get a little bit more of an insight than I otherwise would on what's really going on
Mhm.
at the Star.
And I completely forgot to mention fellow Oklahoma Sooner. Um,
That's
I
why
guess
I'm wearing the
that's
cap
what
I'm
I was
wearing
gonna
right
say. I
now.
had to, yeah, before anyone
Th-
says.
And this is a special cap. And this goes to show how long it's been
Oh,
since the Sooners won a national
they're
championship, which
close.
is now 25 years ago, the
Uh-huh.
2000 season. And this is a cap from that national championship season. It's special in that it's signed by Bob Stoops.
Oh yeah.
And here's the story behind that. When right after OU won the national championship, at the time I was doing play-by-play, television play-by-play for the Texas Rangers.
Mhm.
And so the Rangers then honored Bob Stoops in May the following year and had him out at the ballpark and had him, the old ballpark,
Mhm.
and had him throw the first pitch. Well, John Blake, the Rangers' longtime PR guy, decided since I'm an OU grad that he asked me if I'd like to catch the
Oh
first
yeah.
pitch.
All right.
And so I was nervous as could
Oh, I
be
bet, yeah.
because it's been a while since I played catch. And
Uh-huh.
last time I may have played catch was out in front of the Sig Ep House at OU
I know you, yeah. How
with
was
a
his pitch?
jaw
Was
with
was
a
it a good
jaw of
throw?
Levi
Oh
Garrett
yeah.
in my mouth, with fraternity brothers. So
Uh-huh.
I actually went out and practiced, got out. It was a day game, got there
Okay.
in the morning with a catcher's mitt and
I say
had
you brought the
someone
mitt, yeah.
yeah, and actually borrowed one of the coach's catcher's mitts,
Yeah.
whatever. But and had someone throw from the mound just
Uh-huh.
to so I could because
All right, get
okay,
used
it's
to it.
one thing to throw the first pitch. What if you
Mhm.
drop the first
That's a
pitch? You
problem. And
got
then you get
Bob Stoops
booed.
throwing, and
Uh-huh.
so Stoops gets up top of the mound. Okay, a lot of people will cheat and just get in front of the mound and just
Hmm.
lob it there.
Hmm.
He, being the competitor he is, he gets top of the mound, and I swear that felt like he threw it 95 miles an hour. And fortunately,
Yeah.
I did catch it, but
Good.
anyway,
Good.
that was
That's
a
all that
fond memory.
matters.
But it's been too long since the Sooners won one of these, the
Agreed.
national championship cap.
Agreed. They're
Yeah,
making moves. Making
yeah,
moves.
they are.
Going to get our old cowboy tight end, Mr. Witten.
That's right. You got my good friend Jason Witten up
Yeah,
there now. Now we just got to get his son there.
that's right.
In fact, I
That's
wouldn't be
next.
surprised if both his sons wind up there,
Yeah.
and then we'll
I'm
be in
interested to see if
business.
they'll come up to Oklahoma, play some Oklahoma high school football, or if they'll stick here.
Well, I do think I have a little scoop there. I think he is staying in Texas.
Makes sense. Yeah, I
Cooper's
figured.
gonna, yeah, he's been at Liberty Christian
Hmm.
in Argyle,
Hmm.
and I think he's gonna stay there and then go up. Well, I say then go up.
Hopefully.
He's going through the. He's been
The
told by
recruitment
his
one.
mom, Michelle, I
Yes.
think,
Yeah.
that go through the
Hmm.
process. Okay, don't cheat yourself of these
Yeah.
trips,
Uh-huh.
and then we'll see where it all stands
Hmm.
at that
And get the
point.
full recruitment. Yeah,
That's
he's
right.
worth
In
it.
fact, I think this weekend I saw he posted he's down at A&M
I
this week.
saw that. Yeah, they came up and
Yeah,
saw him too the
but
other day. Yeah, I
but
saw that.
he is the real deal.
He's
He's a
very good.
really good athlete and
Best
played
linebacker in the
both
country.
sides of the ball at Liberty this year
He does.
before he
Yeah.
hurt his foot. Yeah.
hmm
So
Yeah. I hope he makes his way to Norman. That'd be
yep,
nice. Add on
yep,
top of
be
our
good. Yep,
2027 recruiting class.
yep.
All right, we'll dive into the Cowboys a little bit here. Obviously, just a blank. I mean, the flat. Just look at it. 7-9 record. Obviously, no playoffs. Offense was great. The defense wasn't. Is the briefest way to summarize it, I think. And how much of that is you know, really with the success of Brian Schottenheimer, taking over and truly controlling the offense, making it one of the best in the league. Kind of dive in. What I know, just kind of what are your, obviously you're saying you talk with him weekly. Like, just kind of what are your first thoughts, or what are your thoughts on first season of Brian Schottenheimer? Do you give it a success? Obviously, it's not the playoffs, but it's year one of a new coach. How do you really view that?
Well, you phrased it great right there when you said year one. And in
Mhm.
fact, Schottenheimer himself, at one of his late December press conferences, when I'm sure it was after the Cowboys were eliminated from the playoffs, and one of the reporters was asking him about the season in general, and he used that same phrase. It's year one.
Mhm.
With the Cowboys, you never they've never been ones to say it's a rebuilding year,
Mhm.
but when you look at, especially with what happened with the whole Micah Parsons and
Mhm.
for that matter, Trayvon Diggs
Mhm.
sagas throughout the offseason, not being there for the offseason program, and then the training camp debacle, basically, and then the
Mhm.
trade before the season started. I mean, realistically, you couldn't expect um, this defense
No.
to be. It should have been better than it was, and there were other factors that played into that too. But to answer your question on Schottenheimer, I have been impressed from day one
Agreed.
with his just his whole approach as a head
Mhm.
coach. And in fact, I remember, he had for those who don't know this, Schottenheimer first was hired by the Cowboys as a consultant in the 2022 season,
Mhm.
and then he became the offensive coordinator, but not the play caller under Mike
Yeah.
McCarthy for
Right.
2 seasons. And Dak finished second in the MVP voting in 23 with him as the offensive coordinator, not the play caller.
Mhm.
But I remember the NFL has all the coordinators, the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, special teams coordinator, each week do a media availability. And the
Mhm.
first time that I heard Schottenheimer at one of those OC media availabilities, I was like, how in the world, with the name Schottenheimer
Uh-huh.
and the
Yeah.
way this guy communicates and just his knowledge, which
Mhm.
comes across in press conferences too,
Mhm.
how in the world has this guy not been a head coach
Yeah.
until now?
Marty
And so
Marty Schottenheimer's son, not a head coach.
right.
Yeah.
And he's got over 200 wins in his career. And he,
Mhm.
grew up, drawing plays on the kitchen table
Yeah.
probably with dad when
Uh-huh.
he was 4 years old.
Yeah.
So anyway, all of that, he's had 25 years experience in the league now. And you can tell he knows, and you can tell he's been planning for this moment
Mhm.
throughout his career, if not his life, and just the way that he establishing the culture of the team.
Mhm.
And I think that's one of the main issues that the Cowboys had with Micah
I agree.
is that he wasn't all in with the,
Mhm.
the whole team concept, and
Mhm.
Trayvon the same way.
Trayvon, yeah. Mhm.
And I think what they have done with the acquisition of players, whether it's Tyler Booker in the draft,
Mhm.
Donovan Ezaraku in the second round,
Mhm.
just the makeup of those players,
Yeah.
they are Schottenheimer type players.
Mhm.
And even the guys that they acquired in the trade with Parsons,
Mhm.
Kenny Clark.
Clark.
I mean, he is front and center in front of the media every week. I mean, a tremendous leader aside from what he brings on the field, which was a huge need on this team
Big time.
with
Mhm.
the first round bust that Mozzie Smith was a couple of
Mhm.
years ago.
Mhm.
And then they acquire Quentin Williams with one of those draft picks they got in the Parsons trade. And
Mhm.
he is just like that. And I
Mhm.
think one of the exciting things for whoever the defensive coordinator coming in is they have already started a rebuild of that defense with just those two players who are under contract for the next couple of years.
Mhm.
Not only what they bring on the field, but also from a leadership aspect.
Hmm.
Solomon Thomas is another one right there in Coppell, Texas,
Yeah.
who is, he's up for the Walter Payton NFL Man of
Yeah.
the Year
Another.
award, which
Hmm.
tells you a lot about what his makeup, his character is all about. Those are the type guys that you can really build the foundation of a team with. And now they've got a whole bunch of other stuff they need to do on defense,
Hmm.
starting with the defensive coordinator. But and then as you talked about with Schottenheimer and the offense and the way it was clicking this year, it was just like it was when Dak was last healthy in the 2023 season.
Hmm. Yeah. MVP candidate when he's healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think, yeah, one of the biggest things I think is, yeah, he brought a, I'm not going to speak on what the team did with Mike McCarthy or whatnot, but it felt like there was a different sort of leadership and respect that I feel like these guys had for Schottenheimer a little bit. Like, I mean, when he suspended Lamb and Pickens for a drive for missing curfew, I think I hadn't
Yep.
heard of that happen in a while. So I think it did bring a,
Right.
like, he came in with the respect, I think. And
Well,
then,
and
yeah.
I saw it personally in training camp,
Hmm.
because he is he can one of, and I think Schottenheimer would say it, one of his superpowers
Hmm.
is his ability to connect with people. He's
Yeah.
a people person,
Hmm.
but you don't cross him either. And he's
Hmm.
not afraid to have a tough conversation with someone or call his team out when they have to. And I saw it in training camp, going back to the Jimmy Johnson days back in
Hmm.
the 90s when the Cowboys were winning Super Bowls, long
Yeah.
before you were born,
Yeah.
Cole. Um, Jimmy would had the reputation. He was a player's coach,
Uh-huh.
but he would kick a guy off the
Don't
team if
cross. Uh-huh.
if he wasn't the asthma
Uh-huh.
field is over there,
Yep.
And I saw it in training camp where they would not be doing what the coach wanted them to do. He called them up and had them run as much as you can make them run
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, there were no uncertain terms. The players knew that, oh, coach ain't happy today.
Hmm.
And that's what you do as a coach. And Schottenheimer's got all that.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess, yeah, we kind of talked a little bit about DC and what they'll kind of bring in or what they'll be taking on really. Kind of just talk a little bit about what's going on with that DC search a little bit. Kind of I've got a list here, I think, of everyone they've interviewed or are looking to interview. I won't read through
Yeah.
everyone, but
Good. I'm glad you got the list because there's
I
been so
see.
many I've lost track of
That's
some
what
of
I
the
think.
guys.
I the last I saw there was about nine that had been
Uh-huh.
right now. Let's see. I guess I'll read them. We got Eagles DB coach Christian Parker, the Giants interim DC Charlie Bolin, the Packers D line coach DeMarcus Covington, Ravens DC Zach Orr, Jonathan Gannon, Jim Leonard's a big one. I know a lot of people have talked about. Durant, I think it's Durante Jones, the Vikings pass game coordinator, the Browns safety coach, Banda, and then Aaron Whitecotton, who's already on the staff. I'll talk a little bit about Jim Leonard. I was actually listening to, I don't remember, I randomly remember this when I was looking him up, but I was listening to Jonesing for Football, I think a couple
Oh.
weeks ago. They were talking about the Broncos, in that y'all were talking about him for a little and his connection to Brian Schottenheimer. I think a lot of people have talked about that. Could that be a guy you think the Cowboys could end up going after?
I've always liked him,
Hmm.
and he was the defensive coordinator at Wisconsin
Hmm.
for a number of years, and the connection with Schottenheimer is Leonard, who was a really good player at Wisconsin, and
Hmm.
then undrafted because he's only 5'8".
Hmm. Yeah,
He's 5'8", and he played 10 years in the NFL,
that's
which
so
tells you a lot
impressive.
about how big
Uh-huh.
his heart is,
Yeah.
and his smarts
Hmm.
and so forth. And so I've always been impressed with him. But he was with the Jets when Schottenheimer was the offensive coordinator with the Jets. And by the way, they went to the conference championship game,
Yeah.
and so they had some good success there. So there's the connect the dots
Hmm.
on Jim Leonard.
Yeah.
But I've even thought in terms of OU football that
Hmm.
Leonard would be a guy that I would have loved to see. If Venables wasn't going to call the defense,
Yeah.
Leonard would be a great guy
Uh-huh.
when he was available,
Yeah.
to hire as a DC. And so
Hmm.
he has been, and this tells you a lot about his um, status in terms of his respect, not only as in college coaching, but NFL coaching. Sean Payton hires him as the assistant head coach
Hmm.
slash defensive pass game
Yeah.
coordinator. They got him some extra money too, but
I'm sure.
also it tells you if Sean Payton's going to make you the assistant head coach,
That's some
Sean Payton
respect.
has a lot of respect for you.
Yeah.
And so I would think he's the guy that jumps off the page as a really good fit,
Hmm.
even though he hasn't been a quote unquote coordinator in the NFL.
Hmm.
The learning curve is not very steep for him. And
Hmm.
so I would say, one thing I want to say about Matt Eberflus and the whole situation he inherited, there is not a coach in the history of football that could have done anything with
Yeah.
this Dallas defense this
Uh-huh.
year, with the
Agreed.
mess, especially that they had at the cornerback position.
Definitely. Yeah.
I mean, with the Trayvon Diggs situation coming off his injury
Hmm.
and then his lack of want to even
Hmm.
buy into anything, and some other things going on with him that we won't get into.
Hmm.
And Duron Bland, we discover late in the season when he missed the last 3 games to have
Uh-huh.
foot surgery.
Yeah, but
Well, he had missed 2 games early in the season because he was having issues with that foot.
hmm
And so all you got to do is go look back at that Arizona game
yeah.
and see what Marvin Harrison Jr. did against him in
Uh-huh.
that game.
Yeah.
Duron Bland was not right all season.
Not at all.
So here you've got $190 million worth of cornerbacks in Diggs and Bland who aren't up to speed, aren't up to par at all.
Hmm.
And then you're having to pull off guys, and then you spend a fifth round pick to bring in a first round bust Kyer Elam, who
Hmm.
you wind up cutting when those
If they
guys
have
got
it,
back
yeah.
healthy. When
Uh-huh.
Savone Revel, who
Hmm.
was coming off a knee surgery
Yeah,
last year
big
at
one.
East
Uh-huh.
Carolina,
Yeah.
making his NFL debut in November.
Yeah.
He gets healthy finally, so you
Uh-huh.
release Elam. But in the meantime, you're acquiring Reddy Stewart, who was an August cut of the Vikings, who is a second year undrafted last year, and Triquez Bridges, who is a seventh round pick of the Chargers, who
Yeah.
they cut in August.
Yeah.
And those guys are starting for you.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, it was a total mess at the cornerback position.
Uh-huh.
And so I feel for Eberflus in that regard,
Hmm.
but as Schottenheimer said, the results on the field were
You
you
can't
can't
let
go
it
into
go.
this year uh, without changing
Yeah.
who's running
Agreed.
the defense.
Yeah, I feel
So
like changing the DC has been a thing a lot lately.
especially when Eberflus wasn't the pick of Schottenheimer to begin with. Now he
Yeah.
in getting the job, he signed off on
Uh-huh.
Eberflus, but that was also goes back to the timing of when Schottenheimer was hired in
Hmm.
late January, and the whole as we're going through right now, this coaching carousel, the
Hmm.
cycle. This coming week, there's going to be so many hires that are made across the league,
Uh-huh.
not only at head coach, but also the
Coordinator.
coordinator
Hmm.
position. Well, think about it. It was January 25th last year when Schottenheimer was hired.
Uh-huh.
And so the Cowboys had to go ahead and move on a defensive coordinator,
Yeah.
or whoever they hired as the head coach was going to be at a loss. And
Yeah.
so when Jerry says that Shoddy signed off on
Yeah.
on
That's
Eberflus, well, he
a
had no other
light
choice.
signed off. Yeah. Uh-huh.
There's nobody else out there by the
Yeah.
time he's looking for a DC. But anyway,
Yeah.
go ahead.
No, yeah, I've said changing the DC's been a thing a lot lately. What is this
Right.
third defensive coordinator in 3 years now?
Yeah.
Right? Dan
Well,
Quinn's been
it'd be 4 in 4 years.
4 and 4 years now, yeah.
Yeah.
Which was I feel like that wasn't something
Because
super
you had
common.
Dan Quinn and then Mike
Like,
Zimmer and Eberflus and
yeah,
then whoever they hired, Jim Leonard.
yeah. Because before Dan Quinn was what Mike Nolan was there for a year. It was he
Right.
in
And so, yeah, you
2020.
go back to even Mike Nolan.
Yeah. And
It's and before him, Rod Marinelli,
Marinelli,
going
yeah, he
back
was
to
there for about 5
2019.
years, right?
But
Marinelli.
so starting in 2019 and
Hmm.
through 2026, which will be 8 seasons,
Yeah.
6 different defensive coordinators.
Uh-huh.
And that's when you start making mistakes in the draft
Hmm.
because Jerry uses his coaches, and I think this is a good thing.
Hmm.
You're using your coaches to help make decisions on the draft. Well, what's a bad thing is that when you have a need at a certain position and you have a very persuasive defensive coordinator who can win the room, alpha
Hmm.
dog in the room in Dan Quinn,
Yeah.
and he's pushing for what we really need for this defense is this big Michigan defensive tackle, Mozzie
Yeah.
Smith.
Freak athlete. Yeah.
And
Uh-huh.
then you take Mozzie Smith in the first round when he should have been taken in the third round or
Yeah.
whatever,
Hmm.
and it's all because your coordinator won the room, and he's
Hmm.
doing what he can to fix his side of the ball defense.
Hmm.
And you got Mike McCarthy on the other side who said, okay, he was the Wade Phillips approach that
Uh-huh.
I'll coach up whoever you get me.
Stay back.
You
Yeah,
buy the
let it
groceries
happen.
and I'll coach them up.
Uh-huh.
And that's
Yeah.
when we start making mistakes.
Yeah, I guess you mentioned draft a little. We'll kind of dive in. 12th and 20th pick. I mean, obviously defense is the need priority. Whether that's linebacker, corner. I don't know. What do you kind of see them doing with those first two picks? Do you see both being defense, or in a class that's so defensive heavy and light on the offense, could you see the world where they go out and get a tackle or an O lineman to help? Like,
I think I've always felt, and I'm big into the draft every year.
mhm.
So check out our Jonesing for Football
Yeah.
podcast, which you already promoted.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and I haven't dug in yet, and I
Uh-huh.
started basically doing it in a couple of weeks when the
Hmm.
senior roll gets started and everything.
Hmm.
We actually have the East West Shrine Bowl
Yeah.
here
Up in Frisco. Yeah.
next week. But
Hmm.
anyway, um, my approach would be if I was in that room is you got to take the best player available at a
Agreed.
position of need.
Hmm.
And the thing about this, unless I mean, the quarterback position is, although I don't mind taking a quarterback on the third
I'm
day.
glad we don't need one this year. I'll say that
Right.
though, with this quarterback class. I'm glad we're not needing
Exactly,
one. But
exactly.
yes, I agree.
But
Yeah.
there were some quarterbacks in the third day last year
Hmm.
that I would have taken,
Oh yeah.
and there were some good ones, and they actually started games and looked decent in
Hmm.
games. Two of them I'll mention that were high on my list was Riley Leonard out
Hmm.
of Notre Dame,
Yeah.
who he
Playing
really
for the
looked. He
Colts.
threw for 250 yards against the best defense in the league in
Yeah.
his one start last game of the
Hmm.
year, and they were playing everybody on Houston that
Hmm.
day. And then Quinn Ewers from right here in Southlake.
Yeah.
If he's there in the sixth or seventh round, I
Yeah.
mean, Miami might have a steal there. We'll
I
see
agree. Yeah.
going
You look
forward.
good.
Yeah, and by the way, we saw what happened with Texas this year
Hmm.
with Arch Manning
Uh-huh.
playing quarterback
Yeah.
and not Quinn after.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's aside.
No, I
But,
agree. Yeah.
so to answer your question on taking defense,
Uh-huh.
all right, I just started my little research project here
Hmm.
on rookies and the impact that rookies make in their first year. And usually you do not see rookies make that great of an impact.
Yeah.
And I don't have my sheet in front of me uh, but if you look at, like, for instance, with the Cowboys, okay. Now, Tyler Booker this year was a first round draft pick
Hmm.
and he was a walk in starter.
Yeah.
Great pick. They had a choice there. You could have said, well, the Cowboys really need defense.
Hmm.
But they really need an offensive lineman too.
Hmm.
And I know for a fact that they were looking at an offensive guard, Tyler Booker,
Hmm.
or a defensive tackle in Nolan, who went to Arizona
Washington.
or
Yeah.
out of Ole Miss.
Hmm.
Okay. And what they liked better about Booker was his entire makeup.
Yeah.
And he was a shoddy like guy. He
That
is a
makes
guy
sense.
who is
Yeah.
an alpha,
Uh-huh.
who is a high character guy, who there were some questions about Nolan's work ethic.
Hmm.
He started at A&M and then went
Yeah.
to Ole
Transferred.
Miss,
Yeah. Hmm.
but Booker filled the bill, and Schottenheimer wins the room
Hmm.
as the alpha personality in the
Yeah.
room.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And I think Booker it was a very solid pick.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree.
And then Ezaraku in the second round
Hmm.
fits those
Yeah.
same bill. Okay. Now, so they go defense in the second
Hmm.
round. But my point on rookies making an impact, unless they're first round picks,
Hmm.
usually you're going to have more success as a veteran free agent, even if it's not a high dollar guy,
Hmm.
even if it's a guy in the $3 to $5 million a year range,
Hmm.
he is going to make a greater impact on your team
Hmm.
that season than a rookie who's taken in the second round or later because
Hmm.
there's such a learning curve.
Hmm.
You get lucky sometimes with a rookie who can step in and not miss a beat, Puka Nakua,
Yeah.
whatever,
Hmm.
in the fifth round.
Hmm.
But the Rams
Those
got
are rare.
lucky on that.
Very.
Okay.
Yeah. Very.
And to their credit, okay.
Hmm.
But if people knew that Puka Nakua was going to be what he was,
Yeah.
he would have gone in the first round and
Oh,
not
he
in the
would have
fifth
been
round.
big
Okay.
time. Yeah.
So, but again, when we were looking at need on this Cowboys team, All right, you got two first round draft picks and you're
Hmm.
taking defensive ends, even if it's DeMarcus Ware, like
Yeah.
they had in 2005 at
Hmm.
number 11, and Marcus Spears at number
Hmm.
20, same draft
Hmm.
as a defensive end, 3-4 defense.
Yeah.
Um, '05 Cowboys didn't make the playoffs. Those were really good picks. One of them was a Hall of Famer, and one of them
Hmm.
is a Hall of Fame broadcaster
Yeah.
now.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
But I would love if they got a DeMarcus Ware and DeMarcus Spears, great.
Oh, that'd be great.
But
Yeah.
I also would love if they got a CD, even
Hmm.
though the wide receiver situation. Now we'll see what
Yeah.
they do with Pickens. But
Yeah.
I'm talking that type of talent at another position,
Hmm.
then go for it. And you can fill immediate needs more so if you truly are spending money and evaluating players right in free
Hmm.
agency.
And that's the one thing I'll always trust the front office with. You can rag on free agency and them never making splashes, but I'll trust and I think they've taken that best player available approach a lot. I mean, with CD even, like the arguably one of the best receivers in the draft falls to you. Like, take him. Like, shouldn't have been there in the first place. Like,
Well, but there's been recent. I mean, we'll see what winds up happening with Tyler Guyton. But
that's
I
yeah,
felt at the time that that was a reach,
I
that
agreed.
they reached
I
on an
agree.
offensive tackle.
He was a
Uh,
project. Yeah.
exactly, and
Yeah.
we saw his time, and it's played out with the Cowboys. One of the
Mhm.
issues with Guyton at OU was that he wasn't on the field.
No.
I remember his last year there. There,
Mhm.
there was late October, 2 or 3 games in a row where he mysteriously was
Hmm.
unavailable
Yep.
and
I remember.
wasn't even sure what the injury was. And
Yeah.
it's kind of played out that way in his first couple of years in Dallas, where I told guys with the Cowboys that I work with that, okay, I just want to see him play a full 17 game
Hmm.
season. And it hadn't happened so far in the first 2 years. And then
Yep.
they miss on Smith also, and there have been some other misses as well.
Yeah.
And usually when they miss, it's because they're reaching on a
They're
player
reaching. Yeah. Hmm.
because of need.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess we'll dive into a little bit of free agency here. I've got some notable names.
Okay, good.
Dive in, kind of talk about, I mean, what do we think if the Cowboys will try and re-sign them or if they'll go look elsewhere at that position? Obviously, kind of start with the bigger names. Javonte Williams, had him on a 1 year, $3 million deal. You're obviously going to have to pay a lot more next year if you want to keep him. Do you think, I mean, is that a position they'll go out and try and, I mean, you have Jaden Blue, Malik Davis. Is that a position they might go and try and draft, or do you think they'll spend the money and keep a Javonte Williams guy who's a top 5, 10 running back in the league right now?
Well, the other thing to keep in mind on the Cowboys draft picks is they do have the two first round
Mhm.
picks,
But then not till
but they don't have a second
four.
rounder and they don't have a third
Yeah.
rounder. The third
Hmm.
rounder went in the Pickens deal, and
Hmm.
the second rounder was part of the Quinnen Williams.
Yeah.
And so they don't pick again until the fourth round.
Hmm.
We'll see. They should get. I haven't done the math on the compensatory picks, but they should
Hmm.
get something. But that'd probably be later in third
First,
day.
yeah. Hmm.
Fifth or sixth round or seventh.
Hmm.
Um, Stephen Jones came right out and said it's a priority to re-sign Javonte
Uh-huh.
Williams. I think
Hmm.
Javonte Williams now going into his sixth year.
Hmm.
He understands what his market might be like. I
Hmm.
don't know what the price will be. I don't think it'll be that high because he has
No,
an
yeah.
injury history,
Hmm.
and I think it's been a good fit.
Definitely.
But so that is a concern though, since he has the injury history.
Hmm.
If he has the same kind of season, great. But if he has an injury like he's had in the past, then not so great. They
Yeah.
do like Malik Davis as a second or third back,
Hmm.
and Hunter Lipke's under contract as well as your H back type,
Hmm.
whatever emergency
Hmm.
guy. And Jaden Blue, we saw you. Boy, you can see the
Oh,
juice.
yeah.
But there
Briefly.
was also a reason why he didn't get on the field as
Didn't
a
play.
rookie,
Uh-huh.
which speaks to exactly what I was talking about earlier.
Uh-huh.
You, it's a transition for
Hmm.
fifth round picks
Hmm.
usually to
A lot
even
of healthy
learn how
scratches
to
there.
be
Yeah.
an NFL player,
Uh-huh.
how to even live life,
Hmm. Yeah.
even
Yeah.
away from football, and be
Uh-huh.
responsible and show up on time and that kind of stuff. And I think
Yeah.
that was some of the things they were was going on with Blue.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's whether it's Javonte Williams or somebody else who can be the lead back,
Hmm.
that is a priority, and I think it would be in free agency
Hmm.
because of their draft situation,
Hmm.
where whether it's Javonte or another free agent running back, they'll make a move there.
Yeah. I guess I'll kind of go to the receiver room for a minute. We were talking about it a little bit ago. Obviously, Pickens due to pay. We don't have to talk about that too long. The
Well, I mean,
no-brainer.
the one thing about Pickens is that people would have who aren't familiar with the way the chemistry that he had in the room
Uh-huh.
and the responsibility. Now, he was suspended for a series,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
when
Yeah.
they were in Vegas,
Uh-huh.
and so Schottenheimer's always going to say what he needs to say publicly. How
Hmm.
does he really feel behind the scenes? Nobody knows
Hmm.
outside the people behind the scenes.
Hmm.
And it sounds like they want to sign Pickens, and maybe that stuff factors into what the amount of money that he actually gets.
Hmm.
And so we'll see. But
Yeah.
obviously, that's a priority. But on the other hand, how's Cincinnati done since paying the big
Payne
bucks
T.
to the
Higgins.
quarterback and to two wide
Uh-huh.
receivers?
Yeah.
They haven't been back to the Super Bowl since
There's
then. I
not
don't
much
know.
on money elsewhere on that team. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Hard to
Or
pay
even
the
to the
defense too.
playoffs. Yeah.
Do you see, I mean, could that be a franchise tag option too? I mean, or would he
You
even
know,
play through that? Like,
that's the that's where they would have to. I don't like the franchise tag option, and a lot of times because there's
I
no
agree.
financial flexibility
I
in
agree.
terms of the salary cap.
Hmm.
I mean, if you're making that kind of commitment, but also from a personality standpoint, what is
That's it.
Pickens like
Yeah.
if he gets tagged rather
Hmm.
than
I agree.
Al? If you're not sold on just how responsible he is, how reliable he is, how much you can trust him, maybe you do it and
Hmm.
test him for
And
however
yeah,
long. But
then you run the risk of who
right,
knows if he'll play through that. Yeah.
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 So
Who else do I have down here? I've got Jadeveon Clowney. Was a kind of a underrated big part of the defense. I mean, obviously
yeah, wasn't
struggles,
signed
but
until September,
uh-huh. Yeah. For
and then of course it helps your stats when you get 3 sacks in the last game
and
to get
yeah,
him to 8
uh-huh.
and a half.
Yeah.
But even from a culture standpoint, locker room leadership standpoint,
Hmm.
I didn't realize this about Clowney until he came here.
Hmm.
He fills the bill there, and so he
Hmm.
is a veteran guy that uh, they like in the room
Hmm.
and understands his role on the team. And I don't think it would be extremely high money, although
No,
people
I
want
wouldn't
to
think so. I think what they
increase some
signed to
millions on his
hmm
contract. I mean, they were paying Dante Fowler
$8
$8 million.
million. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and Fowler, as it turns out, was battling injuries, which was
Hmm.
one of the reasons why he wasn't as productive as he was
Hmm.
last year in Washington.
Yeah. I'm on the list too, but I'll kind of skip over and go a little bit to the secondary. A guy like Donovan Wilson. I mean,
They love
yeah,
him
like
as a
he's a guy that
box
just,
safety. Yeah.
yeah.
And he's a great team guy,
Hmm.
and I think at a reasonable price. I mean, and it
That's,
would be a reasonable price
yeah,
that
you would think.
he could be a guy that you bring back as a veteran
Hmm.
guy. That it sounds like they really like him.
Hmm. Yeah. Been with the team.
Fans are split on him, but he's not a
Hmm.
free safety. He is a
No.
strong safety. And
Yes,
so,
agreed.
yeah,
Yeah, I guess, and then there's kind of two guys in the linebacker room, which you could arguably say was one of the worst rooms on that defense.
yeah,
Kenneth Murray, obviously the main one, and I think Jack Sanborn's still up too. We only had him on a 1 year deal. I mean, I'm not going to jump to a conclusion, you know better than me, but I would think both those guys are probably not returning next year.
yeah.
I
And
wouldn't
with
think they would.
Murray, and this kind of gets back to Eberflus and how
Mhm.
much say that coaches have.
Mhm.
I mean, clearly there was tape out there
Mhm.
on Murray, and I would assume Eberflus signed off on
Yeah.
let's draft for him. Now, in his defense, he's been a will linebacker,
Mhm.
and the issue is on Eberflus, the guy that he brings with him from Chicago, Jack Sanborn.
Sanborn, yeah.
I mean, you go back to training camp, and it was Sanborn playing middle linebacker,
Mhm.
and it was Murray as the will. And when Murray was signed, it was basic or were traded for. He, the way I looked at that, he was a bridge to get to Overshown getting
Mhm.
healthy
Yeah.
as a will linebacker.
Hmm.
And then because they weren't sure even if Overshown would even play this year.
Hmm.
So then Sanborn was a bust as a starting linebacker.
Hmm.
Sanborn's role in Chicago was as a special teams guy and a fill-in linebacker if Edmonds or Edwards got hurt.
Hmm.
Okay. And he did fine in that role. But when you make him your middle
Yeah.
linebacker and
Not
so
it. Uh-huh.
to the point that they were even before he got hurt, they put Shamar James, the
Hmm.
rookie fifth round pick, on the field
Hmm.
and moved Murray to middle linebacker.
Hmm.
And so Murray's now playing out of position. And clearly his strength is not what a middle linebacker does,
Hmm.
reading and reacting. So having said all that, clearly Overshone is the guy they like what they've seen out of Shamar James, but he was like a deer in headlights
Yeah,
sometimes and
yeah, he was.
overreacting on plays and not
Hmm.
reading things
He was
right.
bite.
And
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
so of course the whole room's getting revamped with the new
Hmm.
linebackers coach and everything.
Hmm.
So we'll see what they do there. But I mean, Overshone is the guy if he can stay
That's
healthy,
yeah. Hmm.
he's a guy to build on.
Definitely. Yeah. I guess I.
And then they got Logan Wilson also. And
Mhm.
Logan
Yeah.
Wilson, we saw in his limited time here
Yeah. He didn't play
why
much.
he
Yeah.
was beat out by Barrett Carter in
That explained a lot
Cincinnati,
of it.
a
Uh-huh.
rookie fourth round pick
Uh-huh.
comes in there. And unless there was an injury issue going on, he looked like he had lost some of the quick twitch that he might have
Hmm.
had earlier in his career.
Yeah. Agree. That was disappointing. I guess I kind of meant to ask this a minute ago. Like obviously, I mean, they'll make some moves in free agency. Do you think, I mean, is there a chance they'll go out and make a big splash, potentially use one of those first round picks, and go grab a Max Crosby or a higher name player of some sort, and really kind of make a move to try and
Well,
fix that defense?
that's the thing to that's going to be the thing that is very interesting to watch
Hmm.
here.
Hmm.
And back to my point on, I mean, there was a learning curve for LaMarcus Ware even when he
Hmm.
came into the league.
Hmm.
But if take that number 20 pick, not your number 12, but your number
Hmm.
20,
Yes. Yeah.
and package it for a Max
Hmm.
Crosby, and you might be, a guy who's from right here in the Metroplex, Colleyville Heritage High
Hmm.
School. If you can't get Miles Garrett, then why not Max Crosby?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Also from Arlington Martin High School.
Yep. Bunch of local guys. Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully. I mean, that's the dream is they make that
That
big
would
splash.
create some buzz.
A little bit. Yeah. I could see it. I mean, who knows? I mean, I don't think he ended his that last year happy in Vegas. So,
There's my good friend Babe Loffenberg, who
uh-huh.
is a radio analyst for the Cowboys network. As he said, the Cowboys have three things they need in whether it's free agency or the draft. Number one, they need a pass rusher.
Mhm.
Number two, they need a pass rusher. Number three, they need a pass rusher.
Yeah. Uh-huh. You got to find a way to replace Micah. It's not
That's what
easy, but pair someone with Ezra
And yet,
Rocker
and
over
yet
there.
you got San Francisco, who loses Nick Bosa and
Hmm.
others, Fred Warner, a Hall of Famer at
Hmm.
middle linebacker. You know how many sacks the Niners have this year? They're last in the league with
Yeah, that
20
yeah.
sacks,
Uh-huh.
and they're playing this
In the
weekend
divisional
in the
series, yeah.
divisional playoff.
Uh-huh. Yeah. It's a testament to that team. It was great to see him win last week.
Yeah.
Um, I guess
And
I'll
that
kind of
those are the type players that the Cowboys need.
yeah.
The what John Lynch
Hmm.
has done, Stanford guy,
Hmm.
highly educated guy. Uh, it's smart football players
Hmm.
is what you're looking for.
Hmm.
I did a Zoom interview with Jimmy Johnson. Uh, I guess it was probably on the heels of the pandemic because every interview was a Zoom interview
Hmm.
then.
Yeah.
And we were talking about his draft and his book that he had out. And he said that the number one thing from outside of what they got, what you draft as far as production, athleticism, all that stuff. But he said he told people that the next time I draft a dumb player, hit me in the head. And that
Uh-huh.
is when you break it all down,
Uh-huh.
usually, and it's football smart players. It's football. It might be not be a book smart guy
Hmm.
who
Yeah.
made great grades, but
Hmm.
they're instinctive. They know football and a love of the game, and that's what the 49ers have made a habit of acquiring on their team, both offense and defense. I
Hmm.
mean, the fullback Kyle Juszczyk is from Harvard, for
Hmm.
heaven's sake.
Yeah.
You know,
Uh-huh. Yeah, smart guys. Yeah, I agree. I think that's something that
Christian McCaffrey, Stanford guy.
yeah, it's something I would yeah, definitely wouldn't argue that the Cowboys are lacking to an extent. Kind of but hey, they've got their fair share on the roster.
Yeah, they
I won't
do.
say we're a dumb team or anything,
Yeah.
but Yeah. I'll kind of wind it down a little bit here. Just kind of ask some short little questions, just kind of your thoughts.
Okay.
What was I some quick little points I've got. Just kind of what was who do you think was maybe the most like underrated player on this team this season and a guy that not that they'll build off, but can kind of look forward to being a key piece in 2026 and arguably the future.
Let's see. Underrated player. I mean, I really like Ezeraku,
Yeah, that's a good
and
answer.
I mean, he's the first guy that jumps to
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
mind. Um, Jury's still out on their third round pick Rebel.
Mm-hmm.
And I like what I saw out of Shamar James. We'll see if he
Mm-hmm.
can grow into a starting linebacker or if he's going to be a special teams guy throughout his career. I'm thinking on offense. I mean, we kind of knew what we had
Mm-hmm.
across the board. Brevin Spann-Ford is a guy that I've
Yeah, I
liked,
liked him. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and I think he can be more of a receiving threat
Mm-hmm.
as
Big
we
guy.
go along. And yeah, he's got
Mm-hmm.
that length that you look for.
Mm-hmm.
And so those are, oh yeah, and then Flanoy is another one
Mm-hmm.
that
Oh yeah,
I,
he's
I
great.
really like Flanoy.
Been high on him. Yeah.
Now, having said that, I would not, if you're going to move on from Pickens, Flanoy is not
Not your two. No.
not your two right now. He might be
Mm-hmm.
able to grow into that,
Mm-hmm.
but he is an older player. He's 26 years old
Mm-hmm.
and came in. He got the extra COVID year and it took a long journey to the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
But he's got the athleticism, he's got the makeup, and he's a guy that you can. It's going to be a key part of things, I think.
Mm-hmm. All right, I'll ask you, give you one or a couple words if you need to
Okay.
give it, kind of describe the past season. There's obviously it's year one, like we were saying, it's year one of a new head coach, but what's kind of a one word summary you could say, I guess, of how you
All
kind
right.
of
How
thought the
about
season went.
two numbers,
Perfect. Yep.
6, 7, right? At one point that's kind of the way it was. That was
Yeah.
the story of the year.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And at one
Thought
point
that
they
one.
were 6 and 7,
Uh-huh.
and that's kind of the way it was, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
There you go. Six,
All
seven. That was it.
right.
The year of 6, 7.
Yeah. I guess we'll kind of wind it down. Last thing I really got, I'm kind of torn. What, I mean, next season, we're kind of like, what's a couple steps you think kind of big moves they should make, whether that's with what kind of guy they go out and hire at DC, what they do in the draft? What are just kind of couple things you think that could, I'm not going to say put them in a spot to be a playoff team, a Super Bowl contender. But
Well,
what are a
I
couple
mean,
things? I mean,
there's
that could
the
possibly get them there. Yeah.
right. I mean, you look at the makeup of the NFL and how
Hmm.
many teams that go from the bottom, to
Hmm.
the top. I mean, San Francisco is a great example,
Hmm.
even with a lot of injuries this year. Uh, I mean, just look at the playoff. I mean, not a lot of people were talking about Seattle coming into the year.
Hmm.
And on the flip side of that, everyone's talking about Detroit, and
Hmm.
Detroit falls back and doesn't
Balls
make
back.
the
Hmm.
playoffs.
Hmm.
And uh, health is a big part of things, and you have to have a deep enough roster to withstand the injuries that are
Hmm.
going to occur as you go along. And going back to the Niners, how about the fact that they get Mac Jones, and he comes in and starts half the season for
Hmm.
them and played winning football for
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, even looking at the Cowboys, the jury's out. If Dak got hurt, do we
So,
trust Joe Milton to be able to
yeah,
do what he needs to do to win games? I think that the Cowboys should be in the market for a veteran
I
backup
agree.
quarterback or
Hmm.
a young guy that they really like in the draft who can
Draft.
compete. That
Hmm.
was why I was so disappointed in the draft last year, where
Hmm.
they had an opportunity on the third day
Go
to
get
get a
you.
guy
Yeah.
who might
Hmm.
be who you get him in the room and you might like him better than the guy that you have.
Hmm.
And so, but to answer your question, they literally are not that far away. As
No, no.
as as disappointing as the
Hmm.
season was, I mean, you just even you they laid an egg in the Arizona game. You
Hmm.
win that game, and instead of tying Green Bay, you beat Green
Win them,
Bay,
yeah.
and so
Hmm.
that turns a uh, 7-9-1
Yeah.
season
Nine, yeah.
into there's 9 wins right
Hmm.
there, and then you're one win away from a 10-win season.
Hmm.
And that's as bad as this season was.
Yeah.
They were still that close.
Hmm.
So and again, it gets back to that was year one. I
Yep.
mean,
That's what,
for
yeah, I
for
think that's
those
the
of us
biggest
who have
point.
been through this for 30 years, this is year 31 coming up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's actually with what Schottenheimer's doing, it's year two coming up.
Hmm.
And so was, you know, McCarthy went from 5-12 or whatever he
Hmm.
was in year one to 12-5 the
Yeah.
next year. And
Yeah.
so,
When you have an offense that good, I mean, it's
yeah, we'll see if
pieces away. Yeah. I guess Dev talked just a second here. You got any predictions the rest of the upcoming playoffs here? I mean,
you know,
like
I
torn
get
too.
stuck on the guys that had the first round buys, you know.
Hmm.
As soon as I say this, you'll be watching this weekend, and
Uh,
Seattle will be getting beat by San
yeah.
Francisco, and Denver will
Broncos.
lose to
Yeah.
Buffalo.
Hmm.
And by Sunday, both my picks will be out. But
Yeah.
right now, I would say Seattle and Denver.
Yeah. I agree. And I think, yeah, see what the Rams do too. I think the Rams are a team to beat.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
are.
And the
Yeah.
Bears are good, but I just think, I
And
don't know.
yet the Rams came so close to losing
That's what
last week to
I was gonna
Carolina.
say. And
So,
then yeah, they're gonna play a Bears team that's got all the momentum in the world and all the confidence they could want. Yeah, it's
mhm.
gonna be good playoffs. It's shaped out to be so far. We've been spoiled with football lately. We've got a great round one of NFL playoffs, and the college football playoff was incredible. Like
Yeah, yeah.
we've been
Now we
pretty
just need to
spoiled.
get and the Sooners look to be getting things together now
We're
with
getting
Jim
yeah,
Nagy. Yep.
yep. Jim Nagy's been a great hire. That was a home
Uh,
run hire. Yep,
right.
having an NFL
Yep.
mind. Well, Mr. Jones, I appreciate you. I think
All
that's
right.
all we've got today. Thanks for
Let's
joining
do it
me.
again.
Yeah, of course. Make sure to
Let's do it
check
again leading
out.
up to the draft when I got my big green
Yeah,
notebook and I've got some players to talk
yeah,
about.
yeah, definitely. Make sure to go check out Mr. Jones on CBS 11 here and go check out all his podcasts. You've got what? Jonesy for football. What else? You do
I'm
the
on mix shots with the Cowboys,
uh,
but since my name's not in the title, I don't talk about that one.
hey, we'll let it be plugged. Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah, you
All right, Cole.
have a good weekend.
And so,
Thank you.
how did you come up with the name for this podcast?
Man, like I kind of just was writing down names with my buddy, the Luke, and we just kind of came across this one. I had a couple options. I don't remember
Okay.
off the top of my mind what the other ones were, but
Is it
kind of
Cowboy centric or is it
it's more
all over the
Texas
place?
centric, Saddle,
Okay.
Texas,
Okay, I got you.
Texas, yeah,
Now,
kind
okay,
of the
makes
goal, but
sense.
yeah. But
All right.
well, thank you. Yeah,
We need to talk some OU football on
let's
here
do it.
sometime.
Yeah, we'll
Okay.
do it soon. Yeah.
All right.
See you.
Appreciate it, Cole.
Yeah, thank you.